Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are exploring Iya Valley, and not just outskirts of Iya Valley, but we are deep within the valley itself. Now, Iya Valley is a fairly inaccessible place here in Shikoku, especially in winter, and I just had a taste of that where I had to ditch the car on the side of the road and trek the rest of the way because the road was shut and it's virtually inaccessible until the end of April. Now, the location we're in today is Okuiya Double Vine Bridge. So what you can see behind me, if I'll refocus the camera, this is one of the vine bridges in this area. This particular one is known as the female vine bridge, and on the other side over there is a male vine bridge. Now, these bridges in the past served as the only access from one side of the valley to the other, and because of the area's isolation from the rest of Japan, they remained in use for long time after the rest of Japan has moved on and started building concrete bridges and wooden bridges and so on. So they're still serviceable, as you can see, although these days they mostly work as tourist attractions, but they are kept in very good shape, and they purely built out of natural materials. So the vines, the twigs, everything is handmade, is intertwined together. That creates a structure like you can see behind me. Now, standing here, I just can't comprehend how treacherous it must have been back in the day, risking pretty much your life crossing the bridges. Now, this one here is fairly low to the ground. Let me change the composition. But as you can see, the one behind me there, the male bridge, is much higher off the ground, and a drop from that height would result in serious injury. Now, I should mention that this place is shut in winter, and the bridges are closed to the public. I did ring the local tourist office in Miyoshi City in Tokushima, and the very kind lady there said that one can access to photograph the bridges as long as he doesn't try to cross them, because they're covered in snow, they're extremely slippery, and they would basically not allow any of that. So at least we have access to the general area, we just can't cross the bridges. So without further ado, we're gonna have a scour around, we'll find some compositions, and we're gonna try and take some photos. Now, there's still quite a bit of snow in the air, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to get any drone footage, but at least photos will do for this trip, and I'm extremely chuffed that we managed to get here, first of all, that we've got fairly good conditions, and that we have access to those bridges in winter, which gives it a little bit more charm than in other seasons. Right, so we moved to the male bridge, which is the bigger one of the two. The other one has some maintenance work that is probably not happening right now because of winter, but there's a lot of coverings around, and that just gets in the way of photos. So at first, I think I'm gonna go for the obvious shot, which is a wide angle entrance shot to the bridge, and then we'll try to get a little bit more creative, get some detail shots. These twigs and vines are quite nice, actually, the way all the joints are connecting the woods together. It's a really nice piece of engineering, and not only engineering but human ingenuity. And in snow it just looks gorgeous, to be honest. Let's go and get some photos, shall we? We're gonna move on to location number 2, which is Nagoro Village, which is only a short drive, but I first need to get to the car, which is about 40-minute trek. So I'll see you on the other side. Now then, welcome to Nagoro Village. Now, this village is particularly special in Iya Valley, in a sense that these scarecrows that you can see beside me, although I don't know if you can make out much of those, they're pretty much covered in snow, but these scarecrows have replaced the people who used to live here. The residents can probably be counted on fingers of one hand, and these scarecrows occupy pretty much most of the streets and buildings in this village. Now, they are created by a single artist, a lady who moved out, who was born here, moved to Osaka, then moved back to find a place very much deserted. And the first scarecrow she created was that of her father, and she used it as a scarecrow, and then she just continued creating them and filling the rest of the buildings and the houses. So we're going to take a walk through the village and have a look what we can find and what the scarecrows are getting up to in this treacherous weather. Right, let's go. Now, that building behind me is Nagoro's primary school, and judging by the size of it, there was probably once a need for a large school to accommodate all the local students. Now, completely abandoned, deserted, and filled with scarecrows, which is a little bit eerie and a little bit sad, to be honest, because it tells a story of many villages in Japan that people just move out and they are left and forgotten. But there's something charming about this place. There's I would like to say it's vibrant with life, but it's not exactly life, it's the scarecrows. But it's interesting nevertheless that one single lady tries to keep the vibe in this place and is putting so much work and effort to fill the town with scarecrows. And what that does, it drives visitors into this place, keeping it alive one way or the other. So let's just have a quick look inside, and then we're going to move on to the third destination for today. I don't know if we have enough time to catch daylight by the time we get there, so very brief stop inside and then we get cracking. It's the pee hole filled with all those scarecrows. Well, whatever happened to those kids? Right, I think I know. I think those are the naughty kids. They ended up on a ladder. And this guy reminds me of someone. And there's actually a wedding going on. I've got to say, this bloke over here does not look very happy with me. So, that was Nagoro Village. Now we made it into our final destination. Just the roads were icy, snowy. That behind me is Ochiai Village. As you can see, perched on a mountain, it really withstood the test of time. The wooden houses are still functioning, there's still ordinary people living in them, and the winding narrow paths in snow in these conditions paint this beautiful picture. I think there's a much better spot behind me. We are now in the observation point, which is the main point for tourists. However, there might be a better vantage point a little bit down the road. So I'm gonna try and capture the village to the best of my ability, and I'll see you shortly after. Right, it was worth it. Right, that's it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly have. The 3 locations that we visited were rather nice, especially in winter. It's certainly worth paying a visit. Now, I can't help but ponder how life looked like in this area 300, 400 years ago. It must have been quite a sight. And it's quite amazing that the communities around here try to upkeep and preserve the architecture, the history. It's really nice to see. Anywho, I'll leave you with this for now, and hopefully I'll see you on the next trip. In the meantime, have a fantastic day and enjoy yourselves.